this beautiful program. It has been really insightful. So yeah, I'll be focusing on the role of research and youth in transformation of artisanal mining. And like Fini rightly said, and Dr. Akimeshere as well, I have 250 million lives globally depend on artisanal mining, but at what cost? And as Dr. Akimeshere rightly said, 40 to 50 million people in Africa are artisanal miners. They are artisanal miners, and 80 to 100 million people depend on it directly or indirectly. These are a couple key facts that we're supposed to know about artisanal mining, and it is the largest source of rural employment in many developing countries. In about 80 artisanal mining, according to survey, is being practiced actively in about 80 countries and in a lot of countries in sub-Saharan Africa, such as Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and so on. It is almost entirely informal and unregulated. Because it is mostly small scale, it is almost always informal and it is almost always uh, unregulated. Now, there are a couple major challenges that artisanal mining is facing currently. High rates of fatal accidents and tunnel collapses. Like I said before, because it is small scale, there are often fatal accidents and collapses rather. As Doctor, I think it was Dr. Comfort who mentioned, like she said in Niger, they got information that there were a couple fatal accidents, and then there's widespread mercury and cyanide poisoning. Uh, in artisanal mining, they adopt methods such as using mercury and also panning. So what they do is they mix mercury with, for example, gold. When they are mining gold, they mix mercury with this gold, and what it does is it binds itself to those gold particles, so that at the end of the day, when it is extracted, you can get the pure gold. All those other impurities are washed away. It binds itself to gold. There's also significant child labor and the worst forms of exploitation. And I believe it has also been said here. You have children of about 6, 7 being forced into labor, being forced to work at mines. And this ordinarily should not be heard of. But then, unfortunately, it's the reality we find ourselves in. It's a major contributor to deforestation and to water pollution because of the usage of toxic materials like cyanide and also mercury. It causes deforestation. I mean, when you mine, you're mining away, you're cutting down trees, you're mining away, the good part of the soil. So it causes deforestation and also water pollution. Now it's linked to conflict materials and human rights abuses. That's closely related to child labor, and then oftentimes these children are maltreated. These children are even abused sexually, both both male children and female children. This is unfortunately the current reality that we have on artisanal mining, but it can change. Moving on, we have the real face of mining today, Generation Gold, which are our youth. The youth are the majority. As Fini rightly mentioned, 70% of artisanal miners are between the ages of 15 and 35, prime years for a youth. Youth in artisanal mining are not just workers, they are the primary labor force. I mean, 70% of artisanal miners are youth, so they are the primary labor force. They are digital natives ready to adopt new tools. I mean, a lot of youth don't even know the power that they carry with, a lot of devices that they have. The world is digitalized currently, and we haven't fully tapped into what that digitalization can give us. Youth are also entrepreneurs seeking fairer systems. They're community leaders demanding safety and respect. And they are not waiting to be saved, though. They are ready to, I won't say they now, we are ready to lead the transformation. Moving on to research. Research as the game changer, when youth experience meets research expertise. Now, research has been able to help us identify a couple traditional problems. Mercury-based gold processing. Like I said before, mercury is one of the most toxic things to let into the atmosphere and to inhale into your body. It can cause a lot of nerve damage and ultimately death. Also, research has been able to make us understand that we have a lack of geological knowledge. When it comes to artisanal mining, people do not really know their surroundings. Perhaps they get info that, okay, gold has been spotted, or tin has been spotted, or cobalt has been spotted at one particular area. They do not have proper knowledge of the area, whether it's susceptible to landslides or whatever whatever natural disaster, and they just proceed with no prior knowledge of the area. So there's a strong lack of geological knowledge, unsafe tunnels, and poor ventilation. Because artisanal mining is often small scale, you know, there is no, Dr. Akinsheri mentioned machinery. There is no machinery to make sure to test that those tunnels are safe. And unfortunately, we have humans going into those tunnels with, no, with their safety being at risk, rather. So we have unsafe tunnels and poor ventilation, which could be disastrous. Exploitation by middlemen, again, as a result of the small scale that is artisanal mining for now, people do not have access to the global markets. So those middlemen that do often tend to exploit and want to pay those miners peanuts while they get those minerals, and they sell them for good money. So there's often exploitation by middlemen. Of course, where there are problems, there must be solution. So these are research-driven solutions that, research, as a result of research, we've been able to come up with some solutions, which is mercury-free extraction methods such as bioleaching and gravimetric. I want to thank Finyi very much for, explaining the gravimetric extraction method to us, using gravity for extraction. I have bioleaching here. Bioleaching is simply using microorganisms, living microorganisms for extraction. Now, it might look expensive, but in this case, ignorance is more costly. Low cost safety and ventilation technologies. It doesn't always have to be very, very expensive in that it costs millions of dollars. There are a couple low cost safety and ventilation technologies when it comes to ASM and artisanal mining. Drone and satellite mapping of mineral resources, mineral deposits rather. You don't always, human beings don't have to be your test subject, or don't have to be the dummies. You watch and check, or if something happens to this person, and then we know this area is not safe. We have drones for that. The world has evolved. So you can use drones and use them for satellite mapping of your mineral deposits, so you know where and where not to go. Blockchain and mobile apps for fair pricing and traceability. That would give the average miner access to the global markets, so that exploitation by middlemen would stop or significantly reduce. Youth know every corner of the mine. Researchers bring cutting edge science. Together, we could bring about rapid practical innovation. Now, so it's just not by mouth. There are a couple success stories. It already works. And we have that with the Columbia Oroved project, where youth cooperatives came together, with universities to partner for the world's first green certified artisanal gold. That's using zero mercury to mine gold, and selling it at the premium market price. Even in Tanzania, Drone Girls project, some teenage girls were trained in drone mapping, and they were able to close 60% of illegal and dangerous pits. And even in DR Congo as well, youth-led child labor eradication. This is just to tell you that they are not exceptions. They are blueprints for us that we can replicate, and we should replicate. Moving on, I have 2030 transformation model, building a sustainable artisanal mining ecosystem. And I have 6 interconnected pillars, 6 things that can help us. Youth leadership councils in every mining community. Yes, youth own the world now. So if we have leadership councils made up of youth, progress will be rapid. University and community innovation hubs, mercury-free technology training centers. Like I said, mercury does more harm than good in artisanal mining. So we need more mercury-free training centers, so they can teach us other ways in which we can extract those minerals without having to depend on mercury. Fair trade and digital platforms and traceability systems. This would give us access to the global market directly and not have to depend on middlemen. Microfinance and savings programs designed for young miners. and also Global Youth Advocacy Network, rather, which I believe is what Women in Mining does. The goal is to turn artisanal mining from a survival activity, not just to make ends meet, into a dignified, profitable, and environmentally responsible profession. And finally, our call to action. The revolution has already started. Join it. We need partners to fund and scale youth research partnerships, to invest in accessible mercury-free technologies, to support youth-led cooperatives and startups. Yes, because without the support of our adults, there's so much we can do. There's only so much we can do to mentor the next generation of mining innovators, which is what I believe Women in Mining is doing currently, giving us the right mentorship so that we can become innovators, bringing youth voices to policy and investment tables. And finally, the future of mining will be written by bright minds and brave hearts.